They called her Defective. The tag said it, the cage confirmed it, and the silence around her made sure no one questioned it.
On planet Bruno, the auction market buzzed like a hive of greed. Traders barked prices, ships roared in and out, neon signs blinked across crates and cages lined with beings for sale. Somewhere in the center of that chaos sat a small metal crate, rusted, scratched, forgotten. Inside it, a girl no older than 10 curled in silence. Her name was Nari, or at least it had been. No one called her that anymore. To them, she was just a returned product. The yellow tag nailed to the front of her crate said it clearly. Returned. Defective. Do not resell. Her silver skin, once luminous, had turned dull. Her black hair tangled like wire. Her wrists were bound. She'd been sold 3 times, returned 3 times. One owner claimed she didn't follow orders. Another said she cried too much. The last just stamped broken on her file and dropped her off with a grunt. Now she sat, not even worth a price, not even worth a glance. No one came near her crate, not even the flies. Until him. A human man walked through the market, brown coat, dust-covered boots, tools hanging at his belt, calm eyes, quiet steps. His name was Jallen. He wasn't looking to buy anyone. He wasn't even looking at the cages. He was here for parts, maybe a fuel cell if he found a deal. But as he passed the old crate, he stopped. Something made him turn. Maybe it was the way the girl didn't move. Maybe it was the silence so thick it didn't feel right. Maybe it was her eyes. Open, but empty. He crouched beside the crate. The seller noticed. A thick alien with rough yellow scales and a bored tone. Forget it, the seller grunted. That one's trash. Returned 3 times. Sick all the time. Won't talk. Doesn't do anything. Jallen didn't speak. Just watched her. Nari raised her head slightly, expecting him to leave like all the others. But he didn't. He said, "How much?" The seller scoffed. "She's not for sale. She's marked defective. Going to the scrap freighter tomorrow." "She's not a machine," Jallen replied. "Same difference," the seller shrugged. "Broken is broken." Jallen stood, pulled a small credit chip from his belt, and dropped it on the table. It was more than anyone would have offered. "That's too much," the seller muttered. "It's not for her price," Jallen said. "It's for her freedom." The alien sneered but pushed the release code. The crate opened with a sharp hiss. Nari didn't move. Jallen didn't push her. He simply stepped back and said, "You can walk out, or I can carry you. You choose." She looked at him, then down at the open door. For the first time in a long time, she moved. Not because she was told to, not because she was trained to, but because someone didn't look away. The walk to his ship was quiet. Not because they had nothing to say, but because silence felt safer than sound. Jallen didn't reach for her hand. He didn't ask if she was okay. He just walked beside her, letting her decide the pace. The ship wasn't large. Old, patched in places, but solid. A mechanic's ship, more parts than polish. He pressed a button and the ramp lowered with a hiss. Lights flickered on inside, soft yellow instead of harsh white. "Welcome aboard," he said, voice steady, gentle. "You can stay as long as you like." Nari didn't respond. She stood at the base of the ramp, her toes just touching metal. Her eyes scanned everything. Corners, shadows, exits. Jallen stepped back. "No cages, no locks, just doors. You pick which one's open." She looked at him then. Not with trust. Not yet. But with the smallest flicker of something else. Awareness. She stepped inside. The air smelled of oil and warm circuits. A toolbox sat open beside the wall, next to a folded blanket and a stuffed animal with one ear missing. Jallen led her to a small room off the hallway. It had a bed, not a great one, but soft. Sheets clean. A light that could dim or brighten by touch. "You can have this room. Lock the door if you need to, or don't. I'll never come in without knocking." Still silent, Nari stepped in. She didn't sit. She didn't lie down. She stood near the bed like it might vanish if she blinked. Jallen handed her a small device. "Call button. If you need water, food, or nothing, press it." He turned to leave, but before the door shut, Her voice, small, cracked, came through. Why? He paused, hand on the frame. Why what? Why did you take me? Jallen didn't smile. He didn't joke. He just said, because everyone else looked away. But I saw someone still alive. The door closed quietly. She didn't sleep that night. Not really. She curled on top of the blankets, the call button clutched in one hand. She didn't press it, but she didn't let go either. It wasn't fear. Not exactly. It was the waiting. Waiting for the pain, the slap, the chain, the command. It never came. In the morning, the soft smell of something warm drifted into the room. Her stomach tightened. Food. She waited another 5 minutes before opening the door. Jallen stood in the kitchen, stirring a pot. He glanced up, but didn't say anything. Just set a bowl on the table and stepped back. You don't have to talk, he said, but you can eat. The bowl steamed. She stared at it. No one had ever offered her food without a threat, or a demand, or a command. Slowly, she picked up the spoon. It was good. Not just edible, warm, savory, like something meant to comfort, not just fill a stomach. She finished the whole thing without looking up. Want more? He asked. She shook her head, then added, barely audible, Thank you. He nodded like it was the most normal thing in the world. You're welcome. Later that day, he showed her a shelf of blankets and clothes. She picked a shirt, gray, soft. He didn't help her change, just handed it to her and waited outside. She changed slowly, fingers trembling. The shirt was too big, but warm, clean. It smelled like the ship, old wires, fuel, and something else. Safety. In the mirror, she almost didn't recognize herself. Not because she looked better, but because she didn't look afraid. Not completely. Jallen knocked gently. All good? She opened the door. He held something in his hand. A small laminated card. Her name, Nari, printed in soft blue letters. This is for your door, he said. Your room key. She took it with both hands. No one ever wrote my name before, she whispered. You'll hear it often now, Jallen replied. Because it's yours. And you're not going back. She clutched the card to her chest. For the first time, the word didn't feel strange. It felt like that night, Nari didn't sleep under the bed, or on the floor like she had in so many other places. She slept on it, not curled in fear, not half alert for footsteps, just lying there, on a real bed. Her fingers still clutched the card with her name, and next to her pillow sat a small, stuffed animal, one ear missing, fur faded. She didn't cry. Not yet. The tears were still buried beneath years of silence, but she held the blanket like it was more than fabric. It felt like something alive, something warm. The hum of the ship soothed her. In the morning, the door clicked softly, not forced, not loud, just respectful. Jallen stood there holding 2 mugs. You don't have to take it, he said, but it's warm and it tastes like cinnamon. She sat up, took the mug. It really did smell like cinnamon. Her hands trembled slightly around the ceramic. He didn't speak, just sat across the room, sipping his own drink. After a while, she asked, Is this your ship? He nodded. Built it from parts, fixed it more times than I can count. She looked around, at the worn walls, the scuffed floors, the patched paneling. It's old, she whispered. It's home, he said. Later, she wandered the hallway. Slowly. No one told her where to go, what to do. She peeked into the kitchen again, sat on the bench. The smell of warm bread lingered. She pressed her hand to the wall. Cool metal. No sensors. No shock systems. No chains. In one corner of the ship, she found a small panel with blinking lights. She didn't touch it, just stared. Jallen appeared beside her, quiet as ever. Navigation console, he explained. She sees slow, but steady. She? Nari asked, Jallen shrugged. All ships are she to me. Ships listen when no one else does. Nari blinked. That night, she stood at the threshold of her room, cards still around her neck. She could have locked the door again, but instead, she left it slightly open, just enough to know she could close it if she had to, just enough to prove she didn't need to. The hum of the ship had started to feel familiar. Each night, Nari listened to it like a lullaby, soft, steady, and not cruel. It didn't bark orders. It didn't punish silence. It just was. She still didn't speak much. Jallen didn't mind. He filled the space with small things, tuning a sensor, adjusting heat coils, humming low, old Earth songs under his breath. One afternoon, she wandered toward the engine room. She was drawn by a sound she hadn't heard before, metal against metal, precise and patient. Jallen was lying beneath the coolant pipe, a spanner in one hand, grease on his shirt. He didn't look up. "There's a chair over there," he said. "You don't have to talk. Just sit if you want." So she did. At first, she just watched. The way his hands moved, careful, intentional, every wire checked, every bolt tightened with purpose. She had seen people handle machines before, roughly, angrily, like the machines were things to conquer, but Jallen handled them like they mattered. She didn't understand the systems, not yet, but she understood care. Later, when he took a break, she spoke. Just a whisper. "I don't know how to fix anything." He wiped his hands on a cloth, handed it to her. "You don't have to know, you just have to start." She took the cloth, stared at it, then sat beside the console. He showed her a small panel, simple wiring, a corroded switch. "Try unsealing this joint," he said. "It's nothing dangerous, just old." Her hands shook at first. She fumbled the tool, dropped it once. She waited for him to sigh, or scold. He just said, "Try again." So she did. This time the bolt clicked loose, a tiny victory. But it felt like a mountain moved. Over the next few days, she returned. Not every moment, not all at once, but often. Sometimes to help, sometimes to just watch. He never pushed, never demanded, just offered space. And slowly, she filled it. One evening she fixed something without help. A broken cabin light had flickered for days. Without telling him, she climbed up on a stool, opened the casing, found the frayed wire. It took her 15 minutes. When Jallen came in, he paused mid-step. "It's working," he said. She nodded. "I thought I could try." He smiled. Not wide, just proud. "I knew you could." She didn't know why, but her chest ached at that. A good kind of ache. Later that night, they sat at the kitchen table. She stirred her soup slowly, staring into the bowl. "Every place I lived before," she said, "I was told I was useless, too slow, too quiet. I broke things." "You didn't break things," Jallen said, voice low. "They broke you." She looked up. His face was calm, not pitying, not dramatic, just real. "You're not a product," he added. "You're a person. People grow, people fix, people matter." She stared at him. Her hand gripped the spoon tighter, like the words might vanish if she didn't hold on to something. "No one ever said that to me," she whispered. "Well," he said, "maybe they were all too loud to hear you." The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was warm. From that night on, she didn't wait to be invited to the engine room. She just showed up. That morning started like the others. Soft light, warm breakfast, tools scattered across the workbench like tiny, half-solved puzzles. Nari had just finished recalibrating a faulty relay chip. Jallen had taught her how to recognize when the pulse was off by sound, alone. But then, the console beeped. A message. Jallen frowned, wiping grease from his hands. He tapped the screen. A voice came through, smooth, cold, and too familiar. Nari froze. She knew that voice. Jallen didn't speak at first. He just listened. When the message ended, he turned around. His face wasn't angry, just tight, controlled. "Do you know someone named Galvor?" The name hit her like a slap. She stepped back. She didn't have to answer. Her silence said everything. He says you're stolen property, Jallen continued quietly, that you were under contract, that you belong to him. She shook her head, stepping away faster. He'll come. They always come. He's not taking you, Jallen said, stepping forward. You don't understand. Her voice cracked. He has papers, contracts. They always believe the ones with papers. His voice didn't rise. They can bring their papers, but you're not cargo. You can't stop him. I can try. She backed into the wall, eyes wide, breath shallow. He didn't move closer. He just said, "You don't have to run anymore." But she wanted to run. That night, she didn't eat. Didn't come to the engine room. She sat in her room, knees to chest, the name badge around her neck clutched like a lifeline. Over and over, her fingers brushed the surface. Returned product. Returned person. Returned nothing. She didn't sleep. Neither did Jallen. He updated the ship's security, double-locked the airlocks, installed a legal beacon. He contacted a nearby neutral station and requested counsel. "She's under my care," he told the officer. "I want her protected." The officer was professional, cold. "If the claim is legal, it will go to court." "If it does," Jallen said slowly, "we'll go." The next morning, she was gone. Jallen found her sitting outside the ship, a small pack at her feet, hands in her lap. He stopped. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving." His voice lowered. "Number, you're not. If I stay, he'll hurt you. Or worse. You don't get it. He doesn't stop." "You're not a danger to me," Jallen said. "I am to myself," she whispered. He knelt beside her, not touching, just there. You think walking away is safety?" She nodded. "It's what I've always done." "Not this time." Her eyes shimmered. "Why do you care so much?" He didn't blink. "Because someone should have cared a long time ago." They sat there on cold metal, neither moving. Finally, Jallen stood. "We'll go to the station. You'll speak. I'll speak. And if they try to take you..." He paused. She looked up, afraid. "Then," he said, "they'll find out this old ship still has some fight left." The flight to the neutral station was quiet. Not tense. Just still. Nari sat in the co-pilot seat, her hands folded tightly in her lap. The badge with her name rested against her chest. Her shoulders were pulled in, small, but her eyes didn't shake. Jallen glanced at her now and then, never speaking unless she looked first. She didn't, but she knew he was there, not leading, not pushing, just beside her. The station came into view, cold metal floating in deep black. Lights blinked across its hull, like watching eyes. As they docked, automated comms clicked on. "Welcome to Sierra Neutral Arbitration Hub. Please declare intent." Jallen pressed the comm. "We're here to respond to a property claim, and to challenge it." Received. Proceed to Hearing Hall 4. The corridors were sterile, dull. Nari kept her head down, but her steps were even. Jallen didn't touch her, but his presence stayed close, like a shield she didn't have to carry. Inside the chamber, Galvor was already waiting. His suit was sharp, his voice smoother than the recording. He stood with a datapad in hand, posture calm. The kind of calm that comes from knowing you'll win. When Nari entered, he didn't flinch. He just gave a tight smile. "There she is," he said. "The runaway." Jallen didn't respond. He led Nari to the other side of the room, placing a small ID chip on the desk. The arbitrator entered, tall, thin, pale-skinned, eyes like liquid glass. Their voice was neutral, layered through a translator. "This hearing concerns the legal ownership claim of individual X-19 prey, designated returned product, currently identifying as Nari." Nari didn't move. "Galvor of Station 12 Delta," the judge continued. "You filed the claim?" "Yes," Galvor replied smoothly. "She was purchased under full contract, properly documented. She fled my facility with valuable tools and training resources. I seek legal return or compensation." "Noted," said the judge. "Jallen?" Jallen stood. His voice was clear, calm, solid. She is not a product. She's a child, passed from one owner to another, discarded when she didn't perform. I took her because no one else would. Not to own, to give her back, her name. There is no record of abuse, Galvor said. No marks, no complaints. Just rebellion. She was scared, Jallen said, firmer. You don't log complaints when you can't speak. The judge turned to Nari. You are allowed to remain silent. But do you wish to speak? Nari's breath caught. Jallen didn't look at her, didn't nod, didn't push. She stood, slowly, carefully. But when she reached the center of the room, she raised her chin. I was treated like an object, she said, voice soft but steady. Traded, tagged, returned. No one asked if I hurt. No one asked if I understood. They only wanted me quiet and useful. She held up her badge. This is my name. Nari, not X-19. Not defective. Nari. Galvor rolled his eyes. That's emotion, not legality. No, Nari said. It's identity. The room fell silent. I'm not owned, she said, quieter now. You can't return what isn't yours. The judge's liquid eyes blinked once. Then again. A long pause. Then, this court recognizes Nari as an independent individual under protection of the human guardian law. No ownership claim may proceed. This case is closed. Galvor stepped forward. This is outrageous. No, the judge replied. It is overdue. Jallen exhaled slowly. Nari didn't move for a moment. Then she let the breath go. And with it, a weight she'd carried for too long. The journey back was silent, but not heavy. Nari sat by the window, her head resting lightly against the glass. The stars outside drifted like silver dust. Her badge lay on her chest. Nari, printed clear and soft. She was free. The law had said it. The court had heard her. But it still didn't feel real. Not yet. Jallen piloted the ship with quiet hands. He didn't speak. Didn't ask how she felt. He just flew steady, like always. When they landed back on the repair moon, he turned to her. Want to walk in first? He asked. She looked at him, then nodded. Just once. I want to walk in, she whispered. Not like a product, like a person. Jallen smiled. Then let's walk, side by side. The market hadn't changed. Same vendors, same rusted stalls, same blinking signs. But she had. As they stepped into the crowd, a few heads turned. Some recognized her. Whispers followed her steps. That her? The returned one? She's walking free. But Nari didn't stop. She didn't hide. She walked straight, steady, badge shining against her shirt. At one stall, a large alien with oil-stained gloves stepped out. That's her, he said. The runaway girl. Jallen turned. No, he said calmly. That's the free girl. The alien narrowed his eyes. Wasn't she returned 3 times? Jallen stepped closer, voice low and firm. She's not a package. She's not broken. Say that again, and we'll find out what else needs fixing. The alien backed off. Nari stood still, heart pounding, but not from fear. From power, from being seen. Jallen looked at her. If you ever want to speak, he said, I'll step aside. But until then, he tapped his chest lightly. I'll be the wall. She didn't reply, didn't need to. She just nodded and walked on. The next day, the messages started coming. At first, just 1 or 2, people asking if Nari was the girl from the court. Then more. Some brought broken drones. Others came with burned-out circuits and tired eyes. But they didn't ask for Jallen. They asked for her. Is Nari in today? Can she take a look at my scanner? She fixed my nav unit last week. It's working better than new. Nari didn't know how to react. She had never been wanted before, not for labor, not for service. Not like this. Now, people waited for her. Inside the shop, she moved with purpose, quiet, focused. She helped fix a sputtering hoverbike, a child's translator collar, even a community beacon that had been down for months. One afternoon, a miner came in, with a small, flying drone. "She's all I've got," he said softly. "Overheats during lift. Can't afford a new one." Nari took the drone gently. She didn't speak, just listened to the hum, the rattle, the stutter in its core. Then, with careful hands, she opened the panel, realigned the coil, sealed the cracked wire with silver tape. "Try now," she said. The drone hovered, smooth, silent. The miner stared. Then his eyes filled with tears. "She's better than ever." Nari gave a small smile. Not big, just enough. She just needed someone to listen. From that day forward, they called her something new. The quiet builder, the gentle fixer, the girl who listens. Even those who once whispered behind her back now waited in line, holding broken things like offerings, not to demand, but to hope. She didn't become loud. She became known. That night, Jallen called her to the back of the workshop. He opened a door she had never seen unlocked before. Behind it stood a small ship, sleek, silver gray, blue trim, clean cockpit, fresh paint. Nari's breath caught. "Is this?" "She's yours," Jallen said. "Well, ours. We built her together. You just didn't know it yet." On the hull, written in soft, glowing letters, "Second Light." "Why that name?" she asked. "Because you weren't just saved," he said. "You became someone's light, too." She stepped inside, hand trailing the smooth metal, sat in the pilot's seat. It didn't feel like a crate. Didn't feel like something to be locked in. It felt like home. Later that night, friends gathered. Station staff, vendors, even the judge who once signed her protection order. They weren't there to buy, not to label, not to return. They came to celebrate her. Jallen handed her a small metal plate. 4 engraved words. Nari Sarah, lifetime crew. He placed it in her hand. "You were never mine," he said softly. "But I'll always be yours." She blinked back tears, then whispered, "Thank you for choosing me before I believed I deserved it." A small tug at her sleeve. One of the rescued kids, eyes wide, voice small. "Miss Nari, are you still a returned product?" She knelt down, held up her badge, let it shine. "No," she smiled. "I'm a returned person, to myself." He grinned and handed her a drawing, her standing tall, holding a glowing tool, stars above her head. "Can you fix more people like me someday?" "I plan to," she whispered. The next morning, she and Jallen loaded supplies into Second Light. Fuel cells, repair kits, emergency food packs. Mission simple: fly to the outer colonies, help people, fix what others left broken, not just machines, lives. As the ship lifted off, the station grew smaller. Below, people waved. Nari waved back. She had arrived there as a product. She was leaving as a promise. Hours into space, she turned to Jallen. "I was scared," she said softly. "The first day you opened that crate." He nodded. "I was scared too. I didn't know if I could give you what you needed." She smiled. "You didn't give me everything. You gave me enough. And I grew the rest." She pulled a string from her pocket. On it hung 3 things. So, her name badge, the silver plate, lifetime crew, and the yellow tag from her old crate, returned product. Except now a word was etched over it. Returned power. Jallen saw it, chuckled. "You kept the tag?" "I want to remember where I came from," she said. "But not where I stayed." Outside, the stars stretched wide, and somewhere out there, someone waited to be seen. Nari would be that someone. She wasn't a label anymore, not a number, not a mistake. She was who she chose to be. A builder, a healer, a voice, a sister, a light. And as the ship drifted into the dark, she whispered, "I'm not for sale. I'm forever claimed, but never chained."